have stories. Every single one of us. From the highest of the high to the lowest of the low, we all have stories. Exploring the world for the greatest stories of all time.
Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Aron O'Dowd Show.
The Aron O'Dowd Show. Our soul is the screen upon which we project our dreams. What's your story?
Hello and welcome on today's episode of the Aron O'Dowd Show. We have another amazing guest as always. His name is David Wickstead. You know, a couple of months ago I discovered him in a mastermind I'm part of, giving out about things to do on websites and stuff like that. And then I came across him again on another networking call that I attend called the Authentic Network. And him and I got on a one-to-one Zoom call, and he told me all about websites and computers and all of that. And I thought, interesting guy to have on to the show. So, hello, welcome to the show, David. How are you doing today?
I'm great, thanks. Lovely to be here.
Tell us who you are and what you do.
Right, well, my name's David Wickstead. Who am I? Well, that's the trick, and I guess we're going to find a lot more about me. But you know, I'm a graphic designer, web designer, developer, extraordinaire, I guess.
Where did you explore it?
Where do where did I explore? Well, really, I suppose I started my exploration in coding, I suppose, as programming when I was 14 years old, just in like an after-school club, and we used to program computers. And I think that knowledge that I have from there has just supported me and just helped me with all my career and why I've now become the web developer I am.
So you were the old school days of JavaScript and all that, is correct?
Oh well, way before JavaScript. This is basic programming on a Commodore PET. I think it was in back in the 80s, early 80s as well.
Wow, I say it was interesting back then to code and to learn about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was fascinating. You know, I mean, I loved to, you know, as a kid, you loved computer games and it was all the new things. So, you know, you wanted to be involved. And I started I wanted to make my own games. And I did. I made my own games on the computers and when our after school club. And then we started seeing what else we could make with it. But, I mean, this is where I think my stability or my knowledge really started. You know, when I left school, I didn't go into a job in programming or coding. I went to art college. I was at art college for 7 years. So, yeah, studying graphic design, you know, design graphics. Yeah, and that's how it was.
Why art college?
Why art college? So I guess it was all through my school career. I probably wasn't the best at school. You know, I was probably maybe a little dyslexic, a little bit in my own world of things. But something that I was always naturally good at was art and design and craft. I was always good at that, so I wanted to hone those skills. Yeah, my mother was a painter. I have other relatives that are in the or sisters a graphic designer. So I had a lot of inspiration around there as well.
So you were painting pictures and doing all sorts as well as coding.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a painter. I mean, in my time, I've definitely done a lot of life drawing, and you know, and I would like to say I was pretty good at it. You know, I was actually asked and recommended to go and do some more, I suppose, more art classing and teaching people, or maybe not so much, but you know, but other designers and other illustrators would like the way I drew basically. But that I always, how can you make it's difficult making a life as an artist. So I actually wanted to use those skills, but more in a commercial way, and went into graphics. So that's why I decided that was my way, my direction, basically.
What do you love about art and graphics?
Well, it's art and graphics. It's all the same, really. I mean, if you think at art college, it's not just about painting. You're looking at graphics. And it could be logo design. It could be just the layout, how things position and work on a page, to letter forms. It could be photography. It could be woodwork, modeling. These are all the things that we kind of learn at art college. Art, fabric and fabric design. That's it. There's loads of it. It's quite a general term, really. Graphic design is such a very general term.
What is your speciality?
What is my speciality? I suppose, I guess, really, my real speciality is being, I guess, the person that can control and understand all of these things. So having the knowledge of programming, has given me a great standing position, but it doesn't make me a fantastic programmer. But I understand how programming works. So but then I'm from the design school, so I understand how design school, but I may not be the best designer in the world. Maybe that's not the best thing to say, that you're not the best, but maybe we should bleep that one out. You're a designer, but I am the person that can actually understand the design and understand the programming and bring them together. What often you have is designers, great designers, but they don't understand programming. And then you have programmers that don't understand design. So I have that kind of like ability to sort of like understand the full circle. Also gives me the understanding and the ability to communicate with other developers. So if I need to speak with another developer, I have the right mindset to speak with them and understand how their project works. And I can maybe even direct them how to write, or how I want a specific app or a bit of programming done. They might not know how to do it, and I say, this is how you do it. I might not have the right language to do it. They have the language. They just need a direction, and I can help them through that. And the same way with the design.
So you're able to communicate between the bridge between two worlds.
Indeed, yeah, that's it. That's the simpler. I guess that's the simple one. The bridge between programming and design.
Is this what inspires you to do what you do?
Well, I suppose the inspiration, where does it come? I mean, I've always, as I mentioned, when I was young, I always wanted to be programming, and I enjoy making things. Making things can be physical or coding. And it's something that I found that I could do quite naturally, and I enjoy it. So if I'm going to do something for work, I want to enjoy it. I don't want to end up doing a job that I hate. Do something you enjoy, and if you've got the passion behind it, then it's always going to work.
You love doing stuff with your hands. Is that DIY, or is it gardening, or is it everything?
Well, that's interesting. I do like gardening, and I do have grow my own vegetables and stuff. And I actually, many years ago, I actually worked in a planteria in a garden centre, so I have a little bit of knowledge across some plants. But yeah, I'm also very capable with my hands, woodwork. My father was a carpenter in his early days. Yeah, I mean, I pick up the tool. I can chisel out a mortise lock. I can repair a bit of furniture. I've gone as far as I planned and helped build the office that I work in, which is a log cabin which I built in wood.
Wow, tell us how that came about.
It came out. When I moved on, I met my wife. We have a nice home that's kind of a bit out in the country a bit. Had a nice garden, nice big garden. But there was a lot of like fallen trees and just foliage and overgrown area at the back. So I went about clearing that out and built a plan. So this is the plan. This is what I want to do. I spoke to a few professional builders about it who helped me. And I mean, I was good enough to actually build the log cabin in 3D graphics beforehand, plan out the wood that I needed and have it 100%. When we came to build it, we didn't have to like get the wood as we went. We knew exactly how much wood. We had it delivered, and we built this log cabin. So it wasn't a kit.
Wow. And it must be cool to feel sitting in this office you made, you know?
It is, it is fantastic. It's, it always wanted to be my office, but it's also, it's like it's a summer house. It's been a gym. It's been everything for its years. We built it back in 2013. So, and it was it's a learning curve. I love learning when you're building things. When you're doing things, you're always learning. So, I got advice and from a builder to help build the place. I got a specialist in doing some of the stonework when I've got a patio that's outside of it, and I built the path that comes up to it. I got specialists to come in with the groundwork, the plate that the actual thing is built on. So, in fact, not like foundations like a house where you're digging down. It's on a big, huge slab of concrete, a huge slab of concrete that's several inches thick, still enforced, etc. So it was built to last.
Do you ever feel like you're outdated, all the spices of life and the new developments that coming out all the time?
I don't think I'm outdated at all, and I regularly keeping up with the new trends and looking into new processes, being around people in the trade, I guess, other designers, other programmers, other entrepreneurs. We're all inspiring each other all the time, and we're learning from each other all the time. So I don't think date is a thing. You should always be able to look back at things, but you should never do the same as you did. You should always be looking to do something new.
You did art college and you graduated. Where did you go next after graduating from art college?
Well, interestingly enough, I was asked to come back and teach at art college the next term. So they asked me to come back and teach computer retouching to BA photography and media foundation courses back at the London College of Printing, which is now the London Institute. So yeah, I mean, that's how it started. After that, I think one of the things I did, I sent out my CV on floppy disks. So I graduated in 1990, and I sent my CV out to floppy disks because I actually wanted to work in computer gaming and computer world. So I sent my floppy disks out to likes of Ocean Software and Byte Media and stuff like that. There was loads of them, and then quite a lot of them they sent back, said sorry, we've got nothing for you. I mean, it's quite a bit disheartening. And then 6 months later, I actually got a message from Electronic Arts, and they said, "Are you still looking? Are you still interested in working in design?" I said, "Yeah. Well, can you do some 3D graphics for us?" And I actually was asked to come and work on a game for Electronic Arts called Strike Fleet. So, and I did the 3D graphics. It was the time of the first Gulf War. So I even took those graphics to Channel 4 News. And they were really excited at the time because I was building, it was a ship simulation. So I was building ships. And I was doing probably about 3 ships a day. Pretty detailed. And whereas they built the tornado that they used on the TV, they lifted the tornado up to show you where the bombs were, and it took them 4 days to create that. And it's something that I was like, just doing the graphic for it. They used something called Harry Paintbox, which would animate it quite quickly, but doing the construction side of it took them 4 days. And when they said, "Oh, you crikey, you can do it in 3 in a day," wow, because news is so important. So that was quite a good in there, and quite exciting. I went off and started doing various other military vehicles. But I think by the time we actually got it down, one of the other things where I was programming, we had to make the communication between what I was doing to the Harry Paintbox and my programmer that I was working with at Electronic Arts actually wrote the script to do that. But by the time it was all kind of done, the war was, fortunately, was done and dusted, and it was over. And my life went off in another direction again. So as the road of life, there are always many forks and many turns in that road. And I came up to a junction and took another path. And I still keep in contact with people on the back there. So it's good.
What direction did you go next?
I was working in various design agencies in London. I'd go in and actually, mainly they liked the IT knowledge. I did a lot of graphic work for them, but they loved the IT knowledge. So I would go in and I'd be setting up their IT equipment for them, putting their, then it was like Apple Mac systems. So I'd be putting, it wasn't just an individual computer, I'd be putting systems together for them. And eventually I was actually asked to come and join and was made come and joined a company it was called Creative Factory. And we designed catalogues for Misco. Again, that was back in probably mid-90s. And that they made me an associate director of that group. I worked with them for with Creative Factory. I then went off with the main director and the principal on that, and we made 2D concepts. We're doing a lot of brochure, a lot of direct marketing material, graphic arts, and I worked with him for about three years, and then went and just started on my own as just David Wickstead, freelancing, just doing brochure work, catalogue work, and then started doing packaging work as well. But always had that connection with, I suppose, IT, design, graphics, and, everything was built on the computer. I mean, I was illustrating directly into the computer. I would, the desktop publishing, obviously all Photoshop and photo retouching. I was doing all of that. And I had that knowledge of creative knowledge and construction knowledge, so when packaging came along, people could actually give me a product and say, package that. And I would make a box to fit it, but wouldn't always be, I'd make sure that it was held right. It'd be, and that was fascinating. I loved it. And the different materials you work with. So some boxes, back form packs, labels, all of that came together. And I'd work with the concept from literally handed the product, designing the carton it would fit in, all of the elements that would that would come in with that carton, which could be labels and booklets, etc. I'd design all of those, lay them all out, artwork them, and then handle the print. I would be working with printers as well. So I understand print. I understand color. Some people may say my wife in fabric says my colors are maybe not so good, but I disagree. My colors are excellent.
So you're freelancing, you're doing all this. What was next in your chapter for David?
Well, freelancing. So I did actually work and partnered up with my sister, who's one of my older sister, who was established in design. She was in establishing packaging, where I ended up doing a lot more packaging. And her husband and brother-in-law was at Sainsbury's and had a lot of knowledge about the construction and about all the printers. So we learned from each other. But I guess back in 2007, I kind of like took the break from that and decided to go on my own, and that's where Wicko Design started. So back in 2007, it was still doing packaging and still doing graphic work for my clients, but started looking more into web design and web development. And it was just, I would have conversations with people in the world, and they couldn't figure out how I hadn't already got into it when I had all of them. I understood how websites were being built. I understood how things were programmed. I'd understand about servers and things like that. But I and it was just natural, I guess. And it was back from that knowledge that I got when I was 14, how I've used that programming knowledge to put things together. So yeah, that's where the web design for me really started back in 2007. It became big for me. I'd done websites prior to that. In Front Page, I think, was an original design studio. We had Go Live, which then became Dreamweaver. These were and Flash, which was a programming language. So I'd done all that prior to 2007, but when 2007 is when I went more into CMS kind of style websites, which is content management systems. So a complete a website, rather than just being like a printed brochure. There it is, and that was how people thought of websites. You get a website, you build it, it's like a printed leaflet. I've designed it, I don't have to do anything anymore. Well, that's not really the case. I like these CMS websites became websites which evolved. They were alive. They did things, always dynamically doing things all the time, and I loved it.
Loving the design, the construction of it, or loving the impact you were giving people?
Oh, the designing. I think it was the learning. I enjoyed learning the CMS platforms and how things connected and went together. I would have my design knowledge and skills where I could actually design and evolve evolve the websites I was looking at. They weren't going to be just square box clunky sites. I was able to design that, and because in a way I looked at CSS, which is a coding style for styling. I looked at that in the same way as desktop publishing. You create style sheets.
Interesting how at the age of 14, that what you were doing still exists today in X amount of years later,
I certainly don't think I'll be programming my basic programming would be not quite the same, but yeah, it's evolved. And the evolution of programming has evolved, but it's that understanding how it comes together. And seriously, back in the 90s, when I talked about when I went to electronic arts, I was very involved with program him. Simon Francis is his name. I got very, we got on really well. And he said to me, he said, David, he said, you understand more about programming than half the programmers here at Electronic Arts, because I just had that understanding of how everything went together. And it's not just about, I can put this code down and this is how it's written. It's about how it flows and how it works, basically. You create the request, you ask the questions to get the answer, to then put it into a loop or whatever you like to get the result. And that's natural.
In being able to communicate that so naturally, why do you think it's so natural for you to do it?
What I don't know what makes it natural. I wish somebody would, because it's natural, I kind of take it for granted, and I don't maybe value it enough as I should, and I take it for granted. I say, yeah, this is what you do, and people go, wow, God, I wish you could have helped me, and I think, well, that's what I do all the time. But
Would you think that the graphics and the programming and the coding is your superpower?
definitely, I suppose my superpower is having that kind of like rounded knowledge. That is definitely, that's a superpower I can take into things.
Interesting how programming and coding is very mathematical part of the brain, and then the graphics is very creative. But yet, when the same way a musician would look at music and you can see the art, and they can see the art and the creativity and the mathematical, that's probably what happens in you of doing the both, is that you're seeing the code as art, and yes, you're able to put it together where someone who doesn't have the skill set or wants the skill set from you can say, wow, David, that's amazing,
100%, and it is exactly. And by the way, I also play music, and that's something else that I've done. But yeah, it is. You've got to have that math. A musician will have a mathematical brain, hitting the notes and hitting that beat precision all the time. But they will have that feel, and a great musician will have a feel, and they will be able to feel that music. And great artists can feel the color, they can feel the design and just bring it together. So, but they still need, a design. It's not always, when you're designing layout and stuff, you are quite often very precision comes in a lot, especially with maybe some typography design and layout. You have, so precision is very important as well, which is, I guess, is mathematical.
What do you like about wine?
I love drinking wine. I love tasting flavors, and I love the various different things about flavors. I like the wine from different, and I learn about where the wine comes from. And again, it's something that it's something that you can be passionate about with other people. Everybody has their own view of the things. And again, I would go to wine tasting events, and I meet people at these wine tastings. I suppose it's part of my character. I quite happily kind of like bump in and open conversations with people. But I met this guy there, Joe Wadsack, an inspiration for me. He did these like wine walks where he'd say, right, follow me, and he'd take you to the different in a bigger wine event, and you take this, and then he'd say, right, these are the different wines here, and then he'd explain and talk about the wine. And it was fascinating learning about the different tastes and where the wine would come from, and how to taste wine, what you'd expect, and I hit great friendship with Joe, and it just inspired me to, every time I went away, if I go away on holiday, any country, I want to go and taste the wine. I want to taste the local wine. I've been wine tasting in Australia, in Italy, in America, obviously France, Croatia, everywhere. I like if I go somewhere, I want to taste the wine. Yeah, and there's many more places. I've not been to South America yet. I've worked with wineries from South America, but I've not actually gone there. So that's the one. I'm gonna have to go to South America and try some wines there. I've done some Portuguese wine. That's good, and wine leads to port, and also artisan beers and things like that. So I just love the taste and flavor.
Does your mind blow when you have the taste and the flavor, like, ooh, that's nice and this is okay and all that?
Every taste brings a vision or brings something to you. I mean, not a vision, but you get a sense of feeling, and I like things that bring feeling to you. So taste of wine, taste of food. It's all, to me, it's a sensation, and so you're getting the sensation of food. I mean, you get a sensation when you can code something, and you can, and some websites, they give you the sensation. You get the feeling of and the passion within it.
Artist and everything you do, that sensory hit you get, is that something you enjoy, or how do you express that in what you do?
100%. I enjoy working and developing and building websites for me. 100%. I mean, I wouldn't do it unless I enjoyed it. How do you express it? The expression is, I mean, you're expressing the feeling of the actual company, the project, whatever you're selling. You're putting that into the feel of the website. So I suppose that's an expressing it out. But I mean, it's all, and it's important to get that feedback. So it's not just something for me; it's something for everybody, and you've got to always remember that. So it's not just about designing something for me. It's got to be something for everybody.
David, if someone came to you and asked for your advice, what would it be?
So for a web design, I would ask them who is their customer, who are they speaking to, what do they want to say, what do they want to achieve, how much do they want it, and so you've got to understand that to start with, and then you've got the dirty word, the budget. Have they got the budget to do it? Understanding the customer's budget. This is crazy. This didn't really answer, but the advice would be understand where you are, where you want to be, who your customers are, most importantly, and what they want. What they want, and as people say, what can you do that's going to help them? What is their pain point?
Where can people find you if they want to learn more and maybe work with you?
Find me on LinkedIn, David Wickstead. Certainly look up Wicko Design. I'm going to come up on Google. I've got pages on Facebook, pages on LinkedIn. I've got my website, wickodesign.com. Come and connect with me.
Thank you so much for coming to the show, man. It's been a blast, and thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Aron O'Dowd Show, where the world's best stories are told. If you like, please post a review or subscribe to the show. To find out more, contact us at aronodowd.com. That's ARONODOWD.com. We're always ready to share another magnificent tale from the world's best storytellers. So stay tuned and rock on.